No teacher wants to alienate their students in the very first class, right? So building an immediate impression with them is key in the establishment of this relationship. As well as presenting virtual training, I also attend other people's sessions, hoping that one, I can learn something new, but I also observe to see if there's something in the way that they present that I might be able to incorporate into my own way of operating. Whilst I normally look for great things that other people are doing that I can bring into my own practice, today I'm going to cover 3 of the worst ways that you can start a session and also give you the remedy to make sure that you don't fall into the same trap. The first worst way to start a session is like this. I recently went to a presentation and for the next hour, all we saw was this PowerPoint and all we heard was the presenter's voice. Now maybe there was something wrong with his webcam, I don't know, but I didn't feel connected to him nor his presentation. By not showing his face at the start and during the presentation, he missed out on a key opportunity to connect with his audience. And I'll also speculate that the rest of the audience weren't as invested in his content as much as he'd wanted. One of the most important things to remember in virtual classroom, that this is about human connection. It's not just the technology that sits behind it that's gonna make it work. So look for little opportunities to make those human connections. Come on camera right at the start so people can see this is an actual person behind this presentation, and come on and off camera during your presentation. The second worst way to start a session is like this. Way back in 1997, I went to a child welfare conference where the key speaker was an American professor who worked with Native American kids in the justice system. At his keynote address, he took us back to the 1970s where, as a young graduate, he was driving his car out to a Native American reservation to visit his first client. Now, I won't go into the story, but he explored all the learnings he gained as he failed to understand the way that this Native American community and family interacted with one another. His American-German heritage was getting in the way of the way that he communicated with these 2 aunties, which is Lakota for grandmother. The audience was captivated by this guy's stories and learnings of the way that he was learning to interact with this cultural community. And we as practitioners were also seeing the big link between us and our work and our interaction with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities and our broader communities that have come to Australia. His stories, his learnings were about us. It was about me. He didn't need to get up there and tell us about how awesome he was. He was showing us. Jump forward to 2009 and I was doing a 2-day project management course. The presenter stood up and for 20 minutes spoke about his qualifications, his work history, and all the major projects he'd worked on. After about 3 minutes, I completely lost interests. I don't care about his qualifications, where he worked, who he knows, or what he's done. I'm doing this course for me. For 2 days, this presenter mistakenly thought that the course was about him. You may have a different opinion and approach to me, and that's totally okay. But I never start a course talking about me. I don't think the participants care. My point here is make the first session all about them. You can talk about how great it is to have them in the class and that by the end of the course, they're going to be surprised at how much their skills and knowledge have developed and how much they know and how ready they are to go out and get that job. You could mention that the teaching staff have so much experience in industry and are really looking forward to journeying with the students through this course. By the end of the first session, the students are going to know if you know what you're talking about and if you are an experienced teacher. You don't need to tell them. The third worst way to start a course is like this. I was in a session a few months ago and the presenter went to share their screen to show us some content and she had so many windows open, click, 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 no, searching. It took over 2 minutes for her to get the content that she actually wanted to share on the screen. This created a first impression of her that was not very good. When working in virtual classroom, you need to try and make your transitions between screens or activities or content as smooth and as seamless as possible. The simple point here is we need to be organized and focused and have everything ready to go before we jump into the session. The remedy to make sure that you don't start your course with one of these 3 worst ways to start a course is this. Look for opportunities for human connection. Make sure that you make it all about them. And lastly, be organized and be focused. If you're new to this channel and this is the first episode you've watched, make sure you jump in and check out some of the other ones. We've got a heap of tips and tricks that are going to make you a more engaging and motivating virtual presenter. We'll see you next time.